Hi all. I welcome you all to this panel where we are going to talk about the present and future of food in Turkey, in Denmark, and abroad. We have four distinguished panelists today. I'm going to introduce them quite soon. But before doing that, I would like to tell you why we are here. It was 2004, 12 chefs, all from Nordic countries, including René Redzepi and Erwin Looyerbach, got together to have this new Nordic Kitchen Manifesto. This manifesto was the beginning to many of a new way of understanding of food in Nordic countries. The emphasis was on purity, season, fairness, health, sustainability, and quality of food. And at the same time, this manifesto was cherishing the food, taste, and variety that we associate in general with our eating practices. Now, if these 12 chefs were alone since then, probably they wouldn't make any kinds of improvements on people's lives. But they were not alone. There was a huge collaboration among public authorities, private sector representatives, and civil society actors. This cooperation made it possible to turn this manifesto into one of the major food events of the 21st century that we still talk about today, and that's one of the main reasons why we are here today in this panel. There are significant challenges that we face in today's world, and these range from the health of individuals to the health of the world. And we all know, even better after the COVID pandemic, an individual healthy diet is impossible without a healthy planet. So food security is basically the very different side of the same coin with food sustainability. So we are all interested in finding solutions with a collaborative framework, all where we come together as engineers, scholars, biotechnologists, managers. Only when and if we can get together and act together, we can make certain improvements in making today's world even better and sustainable. And this, one of the main areas where we see these challenges is related with food waste, right? This is, again, one of the main themes that we're going to explore today. And food waste should be considered on two main pillars. One has to do with the production, with the farm, with the farm side, and the other has to do with table and with consumption. In Turkey and many other places in the world, we are more focused on the table side, on the consumption side. More than often, we talk about how we can reduce the quantity of waste on one end, the consumption end of the food cycle. In most of the cases, we neglect the production side, the farm side, where we also encounter many problems related with food waste and loss. And Danish example has a lot to learn, to take lessons from. They have done quite significant in-depth studies on how we can reduce food waste in primary production systems, how we can increase the potential for food redistribution, and as well as the impact of food labeling. I'm sure many of these points are going to come up in our discussion today. First, I would like to introduce our first guests today, who is also a newcomer to Turkey. He's the new Danish ambassador to Turkey, Mr. Danny Annan. I would like to welcome him not only to the panel, to Turkey as well. After his 5 years of ambassadorship in Tehran, he was appointed to Ankara just a few months ago, as far as I know. He holds a law degree from the University of Copenhagen, where he taught a course in international law and EU law between 1998 and 1999. And his service in Royal Danish Ministry of Foreign Affairs spans 2 decades. And he has spent a considerable part of his career working on Middle East foreign policy. Yes, Mr. Annan, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Professor Yenan. Thank you very much for the warm introduction. I'm obviously very excited about the opportunity to talk about food sustainability and waste. These are truly important issues that have a direct impact on the future of our planet. I'm also honored to be joined by valued representatives of Danish partners who are able to explain Denmark's innovative solutions geared towards ensuring sustainable and resource-efficient food production and thus a smaller carbon footprint. Before COVID-19, population growth and climate change had already turned the spotlight on food production and the need for sustainability and more efficient use of scarce resources. But the pandemic served as a wake-up call and showed us just how fragile global food systems are. As the world ground to a halt, we saw frenzied buying in supermarkets, failure to harvest food because of lockdowns, and large amounts of food going to waste because restaurants and cafes remained closed. We now know that it is time to act. Denmark stands ready to do its share, drawing on the approach that has made Denmark a role model in sustainable food production and a champion in the reduction of food waste. The key to Denmark's success lies in its ability to rally different partners, the public, academia, researchers, the government, and of course also the agro-industry. Danish farmers use precision farming technologies to obtain maximum yield with a minimum environmental impact. Food producers aim to produce more while at the same time reducing their water and energy consumption. They are both supported by academia and the authorities in their work. We see a similar concerted effort in the campaign to reduce food waste. What began as grassroots movement more than a decade ago won the support of the government and the industry to achieve a 25% reduction in food waste over 5 years. Denmark has thus turned into a global role model. And with the aim to walk the talk, so to speak, on UN Sustainable Development Goals, my own ministry, the Danish Ministry of Foreign Affairs, is also on board with its own sustainability plan, which has already, for example, reduced food waste at the canteen at headquarters. In addition, there are many Danish companies, some of them also active on the Turkish market, developing innovative products for sustainable food with less loss and waste. The company Christian Hansen and Novozymes are just 2 of those companies, and I will leave it to Aisha and Umut to talk about the exciting work that they are doing and what it means for the rest of us. Furthermore, Denmark also supports food 2030 program, which is the EU's research and innovation policy to transform food systems to adapt to climate change and ensure access for all to affordable and nutritious food. Among the main goals of the program is circularity and resource efficiency, which calls for zero food waste, more efficient food processes, and more local food. The last point brings us to another initiative by the Danish government, the Gastro 2025 program, which aims to strengthen Danish gastronomy, promote sustainability, and increase also Danish exports. The program draws upon the achievements of Danish chefs in the past 2 decades in creating a cuisine based on locally produced, seasonal, and sustainable ingredients. The Nordic Cuisine, as it is called, has won Michelin stars for many Danish restaurants, attracted thousands of tourists to Denmark, and pushed both consumers and food producers towards sustainability. Now the Danish government aims to use culinary diplomacy to open up market opportunities for Danish companies and to showcase how a push for sustainable food is not only good for business, but also good for the public health. This is where the Danish Ministry of Foreign Affairs aims at matching Danish producers with identified needs in any country and pave the way for new and strategic alliances. Once we are through the COVID-19 pandemic, I also personally look forward to organizing events to show Turkish stakeholders that a healthy and sustainable diet does not only benefit the planet, but also prevent lifestyle diseases such as diabetes and obesity. I hope very much that we can use the Danish experience on food sustainability for furthering our collaboration with Turkey. As blessed as Turkey is with vast and fertile lands, it also has its own food waste challenge to tackle. In September this year, the Minister for Agriculture and Forestry, Minister Pakdemirli, said Turkey wastes 19 million tons of food every year, almost a fifth of what it produces, mostly in the form of fresh fruit and vegetables, ready-to-eat meals and bread. Once again, I would like to thank you, the organizers, for giving me the opportunity to speak at this webinar, and I look very much to hear the contributions of the other panelists. Thank you very much.
Many thanks, Mr. Hansen, for your insightful introduction and speech to the panel. There are many points that we can turn back to when we have our discussion session after all the presentations, especially the points that you raised regarding Gastro 2025 and Food 2030. I find them very important. These are the things that we know very little about in Turkey. Maybe we can come up with more details in the discussion session. Before we do that, though, we have 3 more very valuable commentators, presenters in this panel of Nordic Talks. And we have one contributor all the way from Denmark. She's Lisa Valborn, and the CEO of Food Nation Denmark. It is one of the major civil society organizations regarding food and gastronomy, not only in Denmark, but in the world. Mrs. Valborn is the CEO of Food Nation Denmark, this organization, and has extensive experience working with public, private, and political actors in the Danish food arena. Before joining Food Nation, she spent a decade working as a consultant in the food industry for the Confederation of Danish Industry, one of Denmark's largest employers organizations, representing more than 10,000 Danish entrepreneurs and enterprises. prior to that, she worked within private consultancy, focusing on innovation, productivity, and strategy. One of the highlights of her work has to do with cooperating with the Danish cooperatives, the largest Danish cooperative, Coop, which has 1.7 million members, and the Danish Ministry of Food. So I welcome Lisa Wolborn and leave the stage to her.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for inviting me to participate. I'm very happy to be able to share the Danish experiences on this really important matter. Just a few more words about myself. I really love food and I love to work with food, and I really hope that this session will inspire all of you to take action in the really important area of reducing food loss and waste, no matter where you work, as a professional or if you are active, and also as a consumer yourself. Because the point is that all actions matters, and this is really one of my key messages for you all today. So I'll just like to share some slides, and I know maybe not everyone will be able to see slides, but some of you will, and I'll do my best to take you through this story and the work from a Danish perspective about decreasing food loss and waste. So shortly about Food Nation, because it's actually quite important to state that Food Nation is a branding consortium, but also, as we heard in the introduction, we are a public-private partnership. And we are promoting the Danish food cluster's competences, products, and solutions. So we are a go-to portal for international, both private and public decision makers seeking information about the Danish food cluster. But the fact that we are a public-private partnership underlines the reason of why we have gone so far in our progressive and innovative solutions also within the food loss and waste area. As we heard the ambassador say, the way we work in Denmark with the different perspectives, taking every stakeholder's opinions into consideration, that's making a huge difference, and that's what moves us forward. But let's take a short trip to Denmark. It's quite far in the north, and as you can, as you know, maybe it's a very, very small country. But even though we are a small country, we have a really long track record as a food nation. And looking at today's global challenges, the United Nations Sustainability Goals, the agriculture and food industry has a vital role to play to realize several of these 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And being a country with a long track record within this area, of course, we need to take responsibility and take action. So this is the set-off of what I would like to talk about. And if we zoom in on the Sustainable Development Goal number 2 about zero hunger, we need to provide enough food to feed the growing world population. And this is one of the biggest challenges of the 21st century. The fact is that 800 million people are undernutritioned, and that is actually 1 in 9 person who goes hungry to bed. At the same time, the world's population is accelerating and growing exponentially, and we are expected to hit 9 billion people in 2050. This means also that in the next 40 years, we need to produce as much food as we have done the last 8,000 years altogether. All this and the great challenge here is accelerated by the fact that global warming escalates and it pushes the pressure on flooding, drought, and less farmland. So we really need to take action. If we move on to the Sustainable Development Goal number 12, we need to produce and consume responsible. So while people are starving in many parts of the world, of the developing part of the world, 1 in every 8 person is considered obese, and that is 2.2 billion people. Around the world, a large, hungry middle class is emerging. With increased purchasing power, they demand better, safer food, but upscaling production to meet their demands in a sustainable way poses a challenge as well. Sustainable and responsible production need not only to deal with the economic bottom line, but certainly also the environmental and social as well. To reach the goal before 2030, products need to deal with pollution of soil, air, and oceans in a sustainable way. And consumption has to be more responsible. And I would like to zoom in on the fact how much we are actually losing and wasting across the value chain. Because the development is not going in the right direction. The problem is staggering. Each year, 1.6 billion tons of food worth about $1.2 trillion are lost or go to waste across the value chain. This is 1/3 of the global food in general. So these 1.6 billion tons estimated as primary product equivalents and total food waste for edible parts is amount 1.3 billion tons. So if we take it a little closer and look at how massive this challenge is, this massive misuse of resources is emerging as a global issue, with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals setting a target of halving the food loss and waste by 2030. And according to the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization and also the World Resource Institute, this global food loss and waste actually is the same as 8% of global CO2 gas emissions. And just to put it into perspective, food loss and waste would be the world's 3rd largest emitter of CO2 on Earth if it was a country. So food loss and waste also amount to a major loss of input resources, including water, land, energy, labor, and capital, and needlessly produce greenhouse gas emissions, contributing to global warming and climate change. So reducing food waste is a core element in reducing global warming. And in order to achieve sustainable development, we need to collaborate to reach the Sustainable Development Goal 12.3, which is about halving the global food loss and waste at retail and consumer level and reduce food losses along the production and supply chains before 2030. But let's just take a little bit of a closer look at where are the challenges across the value chain. As we heard the ambassador refer, the greatest food loss and waste is within root crops, fruit and vegetables. In overall numbers, we see 40 to 50% the biggest losses in this category. 35% is within fish and seafood, 30% within cereals, and 20% within oilseed, meat, and dairy. And I would like to highlight that the amount of food lost or wasted every year is equivalent to more than half of the world's annual cereals crop. So it's not only one area we need to optimize on, it is the whole food value chain that we really need to look into. And if you kind of imagine a U-shaped graph in front of you, this is just to outline the picture even more. And the challenge is really within the first steps of the value chain and the last steps of the value chain, which means in the primary sector and also at consumer level. This is where we really need to take action both regarding value of the products and amount food lost and wasted. So we already heard from the ambassador about a lot of the Danish actions that have been taken for the last more than 10 years. And I'll just refresh the focus on these actions. So first of all, we have had the food organization Stop Wasting Food movement, which have pushed upon the agenda since 2008 and has really set the agenda not only in Denmark, but also around the world. If you look at the Danish perspective and see what international actions we have taken, well, we have created this annual conference, which we call World Food Summit, Better Food for More People, where we bring together Danish and international decision makers and opinion makers to look at how to prevent food loss and waste. Our ambassador also talked about the EU action and how the Danish Ministry of Environment and Food participates with the experts on the EU platform on food loss and waste. And of course, it's important and it's key that we collaborate in all possible ways. Also on national action, I would like to highlight that one of the areas that the government has been following up has been the establishment of this independent think tank called 1/3, of course, referring to the goal about halving the global food loss on 1/3 before 2030. So this was just to take you through some of the Danish initiatives. And as we have already been touching upon from several of the speakers, collaboration is keys to reach the global goals. And we need to take into considerations all innovative and good ideas from both the public side, the business side, science, and create partnerships to reach the goals. So this is also why I am, of course, especially happy to be here today. So we reach out across nations to create new partnerships and new ideas. So discover, I think it's important to face the fact that this is, of course, really serious business and enormous challenges, but it is also opening business opportunities. And this is what I think we should also focus on today. And we have both two great companies with us today, both Christian Hansen and Novozymes, and they will certainly also share some of the business cases on this area. But the fact is that we need to take action and work on the reduction of food loss and waste in every step of the value chain. But having both Novozymes and Christian Hansen with us today, I will take a look at the consumption level and bring in a few cases from that area. So the first case I would like to highlight is the selling surplus food to fight world hunger. The fact is that supermarkets often have to throw really good food away. All it takes is maybe an incorrect label, damaged packaging, or an expired best before date. So that is not sustainable. As you have heard, we have a lot of people going hungry to bed. And this is why since 2016, supermarkets in Denmark has been able to donate this surplus food to WeFood, which is a supermarket chain for surplus food. And the thing which is different in this initiative is that these surplus food supermarkets, WeFood chain, is open to everyone. So everyone from the street can go in and buy this surplus food, and it has a really good success. And all the money earned in this these supermarket chains are collected by the organization Danchurch Aid, and they use the money to support initiative fighting against hunger all around the world. The next case that I would like to highlight is the app from Too Good To Go. It's an online company, and they have created this app in order to meet the need of reducing food loss and waste, because we need to change consumer habits. And this app is actually a marketplace where consumers can buy surplus food, so all companies can upload their surplus food on this app, and I can, as a consumer, go in and buy the products through this app. So the surplus food range from fresh bread that bakeries had not sold during the day, and unsold groceries from supermarkets. And all products are, of course, perfectly eatable. So I would also like to highlight this date label initiative, which is really important, because the fact is that we have a high level of consumer confusion about the best before date on consumer products. And this is actually one of the main causes of food loss and waste in Europe, because consumers are, they get confused about, can I actually eat or drink this product if it says best before? So this is why, actually, as well, the Too Good To Go company has been doing this label saying best before, often good after, in order to guide the consumers to use their senses when they do their shopping and have their products and their shelves at home. So it's a really good and practiced initiative. And all these initiatives, all these cases can be found on our website, foodnationdenmark.com, which I hope you will take a closer look at. And this was all for me right now. Thank you very much for listening, and I really look forward to contribute to the discussion. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Liz. Wonderful examples, case studies that you have presented. Every morning almost we had this quarrel with my partner at home. There's a certain bottle of milk, whether it's drinkable or not. I say, let's drink this, and she says, no, let's not. But these kinds of encounters probably take place like millions and zillions of households around the world, and how little things actually can make very big differences in terms of how we consume and how we actually create less waste. Wonderful example, as I said. Thanks a lot for this very comprehensive presentation, in which you took us all the way from the problem of hunger and how it is related to the, one way related to the whole problem of waste, and then, rather kinds of good practices, best practices that we can gather from the Danish example, all valuable insights. Thanks a lot again, Liz. And I'm sure there's a lot to talk about more in our discussion session. Now, as you already made an introduction in your speech, we have two very, valuable presenters, this time coming from the corporate sector, from the private sector. Two companies, their representatives are with us. We're going to start with Ayça Akat Özyıldırım, the country manager of Christian Hansen, one of the main leading food companies in the world. Mrs. Akat, Ayça is the country manager of this company. As I said, she graduated from the Middle East Technical University's food engineering department in 2000. It's one of probably the best food department, engineering department in the country, and one of the best in the world. She holds an MA degree from European Masters of Food Studies. She worked in Nestle before joining to Christian Hansen, and prior to her general manager position, she was the director manager for food and beverage in the same company. So I welcome her to the panel again and leave the floor to her.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Before I start, I will like to show a movie from Christian Hansen. and then I will start.
Food waste is a global challenge, with 1/3 of all food being wasted. In the dairy industry, 20% is wasted, and 80% of the yogurt waste is related to a short best before date. Christian Hansen has identified a set of good bacteria and combined them into bioprotective cultures that help dairy products stay fresh for longer and reduce food waste in an all-natural way. If these bioprotective cultures were applied to all yogurt in Europe, it could reduce waste with 30% simply by extending the shelf life. A study commissioned by Christian Hansen and reviewed by leading European researchers looked at the socio-economic impact of extending the shelf life of yogurt using natural means.
The study looks at the environmental impact, what could happen to food waste throughout the supply chain, and it also looks at economic incentives for the different actors within that supply chain. One of the key findings from it is that there are situations, highly plausible situations, in which there are economic benefits for both dairy manufacturers and retailers, while still reducing food waste across the supply chain. I think this study could have a real positive benefit. It could be a real catalyst for change. It could be that spark that gets dairy manufacturers and retailers to adopt a natural method for extending the shelf life.
I think that increasing the shelf life by maybe 3 or 4 days would definitely make a difference for stores like these.
If the shelf life of yogurt gets extended using something like FreshQ in a natural way, then we know from lots of studies that consumers often look for products on the shelf with the longest possible shelf life. So there's the opportunity for manufacturers that are producing yogurt with longer shelf life that they could gain market share as a result of this.
Christian Hansen has embarked on a journey to fight food waste using good, natural bacteria. We invite you to join us in this fight. Together, we can make a difference.
I would like to talk about Christian Hansen's initiative to fight against food waste. As all the panelists have stated before me, we waste huge amount of food, and therefore, if we could reduce even 1/3 or some percentage of it, we could feed all the malnourished people in the world, which is just on its own a great cause why we should reduce food waste. We could do it in the production area, where I will talk more about, but we could also do it in our household, because all of us eat. I mean, this is the only thing more or less what we have in common. Everybody eats something, and this is our footprint, what we eat, actually. We could influence what we do at home every day, even if you're not in food production area. Slide'lar. Yeah. So what are our solutions to global food challenges? Christian Hansen, just about the introduction about who Christian Hansen is. We've been selected the most sustainable food ingredients company in the world. Actually, we've been selected the most sustainable company in the world in 2019, and in the 2020 we were the number 2. By Corporate Knights, it's a Canadian association. Every day, over a billion people consume our products, and you consume it without or with knowing it. You consume it in yogurts or in cheese, because we produce cultures for dairy, meat, and other industries, and enzymes as well. We also produce probiotics both for human and animal health. 82% of our revenue contributes positively to UN Sustainable Goals. As Lisa stated before me, there will be, we are growing. I mean, as population, 10 billion people to feed by 2050 is a big number. And how to feed these people, we have to think. Not only the land decreases, the land fit for agriculture decreases when the population increases, but also there is, because of global warming, climate change and scarce resources associated with that. So when you also think that 8% from is a big number, just coming from food waste, which is the creating the greenhouse gas emissions. So the population on its own will increase with 35% maybe, but also the land will decrease. So the efficiency that we need from a certain land, of agricultural land, has to increase by 70%. So, actually, we don't only work for in the food segment, but we also have products suitable for agriculture. So our plant health products that enable you to get more yield out of a certain land, which is a good way to tackle the yield issue when you produce an agricultural product. And when you need yield increase in your food production, you could do it in many ways. And one example, you watched the movie, but we have other examples how to tackle that. So the world has certain issues related with food waste, and the products or the company initiatives touch base the number 2, especially the number 12 and number 3, but all in all, of course, also global climate change. So with the aging population, with the global increase of population and the global warming, all these issues just is an introduction why I'm going to talk about the solutions as well. So we focused on the 3 SDGs, and the solutions are actually a lot. You have seen the food waste solution about extending the shelf life of the dairy product so that it's actually coming to extend the shelf life and you will waste less. So, but the other things could be that you get more out of a certain amount of milk, which would enable the dairy producers to spend less milk for the same amount of output, like yogurt or cheese, which would also decrease the number of cows in the longer run. Or, like I said, like I gave an example, you could get more out of your land. For more sustainable animal welfare, they when you feed them with probiotics, they have better health without the antibiotics, which has a adverse negative effect on human. So all these products portfolio we have that help tackling these major global problems. So, like in the movie, I said that almost 20% of the dairy is wasted, and 80% of that waste is because of short expiry date. And actually, we could have saved the 30% of that if we would use this solution of fresh Q. That would the food cultures don't only are just, I mean, not just meant for dairy, but we could do the same thing in fresh foods, in salads, in wine, in meat, and in cheese. So with extending shelf life or with more better quality during shelf life, you would be using those products for longer in your fridge, or use it for when you use it, you would see a good product during shelf life, because you destroy when you open the jar in your fridge. You also spoil it yourself. So it all enables us in a natural way, using natural bacteria to get all those things in a good way. So actually, these are my slides, and thank you very much for the time.
Thanks a lot, Ayça. This presentation was really enriching in terms of providing us with examples, industry-specific solutions to the kinds of global problems that we face in almost everywhere in the world, including Turkey. And it's also a kind of a presentation which provides us with a very significant feature of the Danish example. I liken Danish example, a connoisseur or a very good chef, actually, coming together with a very, ethically considered scientist. Embodiment of these two figures for me is the Danish example par excellence. And so, your presentation was providing us with lots of industry-specific examples. And we have another very important representative here today in our panel, Great Taste Zero Waste panel, and he is Umut Köroğlu, Commercial Director for Turkey's Novazims company. And he is also responsible from Middle East and Africa regions for Novazymes. He obtained his undergraduate degree in food engineering from Gaziantep University. Gaziantep is one of the culinary capitals of Turkey, where we have great food. And later he obtained his PhD. He became a doctor at Çukurova University, and Çukurova University is situated in Adana, another culinary capital, famous for its kebabs. So apparently, throughout his studies, he has not only been a very good scientist, but he also been a very good eater and a connoisseur and foodie, let's say, in general. He's an enthusiastic business leader at the same time, having 15 years of experience on management of sales, marketing and business development, particularly in the Middle East region and Turkey. Yeah, I'll leave the floor now to Mr. Köroğlu. Yes.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here. So, and I think you just underlined a very important thing, which is the culinary part of the, so to say, region that I have been born and raised up. So, well, I think it just explains the reason why I'm in love with food. So, thank you for that one. Well, I think, a great thanks to you and everyone joining in the webinar, and for the time of colleagues also here so far underlined the importance of the sustainability in the food chain, and also the, I think Lisa underlined that one, especially why we should be inspired to act, and I think she just set the bar high when it comes to her presentation and the reason why we should act on this. So the time is appreciated. Also the input from Ayça and Mr. Dani. Also, I think each time I just sit here, speak about sustainability, speak about the culture of making future more sustainable for us, I just learn a lot. So this is a great pleasure being here. So listening to all the distinguished, so to say, speakers, one thing I realized that being at the last is always not always the good, because many people are speaking about when it comes to sustainability, the same numbers, or so to say, the same messages. So I think, as we all, I guess, see in the screen now, the inspired part is the one inspiring me. So if at the end of this 5, 7, whatever, 10 minutes, if I would be very happy if this 5, 7 minutes or this webinar can inspire people to act. So this is what I'm looking for. I have a couple of slides, and I'm not gonna bore you with those. And I know there is also a podcast gonna be, extracted from this. So I just want to also underline that in the slides we have the United Nations Sustainability Goals, which I'm not gonna spend too much time on those. But one thing that I want to underline, the great thing working with Novozymes is it is commitment, and it's being inspired by the global goals of sustainable development when composing its purpose. And we call ourselves Zymers, and every Zymer is inspired by this purpose. And whatever we do, whatever we commit to, is generating for better lives. We know that the world is growing, and we just need to find biological solutions for those to be able to commit to sustainability. And we just need to do that together. So I think this purpose makes many of my Zymer colleagues to wake up every day, to get inspired and act with a cause. So this is something great. When we look at the pressing problems, Lisa underlined many of them around zero hunger, the water, saving the water, especially, limiting the food losses. We also have, I would say, activities around ensuring those. And I want to just give a few examples of those. You will see some numbers here. Some of those numbers are in line with what Ayça and Lisa has shown. Some of those numbers are, I guess, different. But the thing is, well, there are facts. And one of that fact is the world population will be around 10 billion by 2050. And more or less 65% of it will come from emerging markets, or so to say developing markets, from Africa, from Middle East, where the problem is even more pressing, that we just need to find answers. We also know that we are going to need 70% more of food. There are ways of it. You just either need to produce more, or you just need to have less waste. So producing more is a way, but it's not probably the most sustainable way, because we don't have enough arable lands. So we just need to make sure that we are limiting the food loss. And as consumers, as companies, as individuals, we have a say on it. We have a control on it, either with the things that we eat, either with the things that we throw away. We have a say on it. We have a control on it. So let's act. Another number here comes is, well, more or less 80% of this additional 70% of food needs to come from yield increase because of no arable land, because of water scarcity. So we just need to find the ways, and we just need to find it together. Well, I just speak about the climate change, and we all know that this is not gonna helping us, or this is not helping us. We just need to find a way of it. 3 other numbers. Well, Lisa spoke some of them, but to me, the 15% in here is an important one, because from one side, we just need to have more food. From the other side, we just need to increase the yield. Well, more importantly, the population is growing, and in majority cases, faster than the production itself grows. So everyone listening us now, when we look at Novozymes and how we are helping for even a better food for the growing world, well, we have, I don't know, solutions here and there. And if I speak to them in 3 segments, be it food and beverage or bioagriculture or animal health and nutrition, well, I was reading an article where it was a grain-related article where one of the opinion leaders in the industry was mentioning that, well, doing grain business is actually transporting water from one part of the globe to the other. And all these, crops or these grains and everything is just being converted into food and beverage products. So, well, COVID-19, also shown us how fragile right now the supply chains we have are. So, I think this is a wake-up call for all of us that we just need to improve the efficiency of food and beverages. We just need to transform the sustainability and quality of those. There are examples of it, be it less food, be it less food waste, be it more yield in the arable lands, be it more yield in the production. So I know we also have time limitations here that I'm going to show only one example at the end as a video, especially on a bread loss and 30 years of a technology of Novozymes, how it helps on, especially on the food sustainability. But, we just need to work together. We just need to act together to be able to increase the yields, to be able to decrease the food loss, and we just need to collaborate where, to me, is one of the most, so to say, important things when you are working in a Nordic culture, that everyone is open to collaboration. And I believe there is a lot to learn from our own culture on how to collaborate and how to find those answers together for even better lives, because the world is growing, ladies and gentlemen. Let's act. I'm going to show you a video, and with that video, just before that, in that video, we are asking a question to kids: how much is a lot? And the reason of this question is, well, every piece counts. Don't forget that one. Let's start together and now. And let's bear in mind, when I started, I spent roughly more than 20 years in Middle East and Africa. And when the first time I have read that saying, so to say, some was underlining that it's a Chinese origin, some was underlining that it's an African origin, but it's basically around a kind of saying, which is, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the second best time is today. So let's act together. With that, here comes the video, and let's see how much is a lot. Sesi dinleyince süper video aslında.
Çok hoş.
Sesi yayından duyulmuş olsun da. Sıkıntı yok, kalan.
line, that was just an example of it. And more than 6,000 Zymers, all my colleagues, every day waking up with this purpose and with this cause to be able to find out other 30 years of technologies, which is going to make the future better for all of us. With that, I'm handing over to our professor, and thanks for listening.
Thanks a lot, Umut, for this great video and for this very lively talk and presentation. Well, I guess we are coming to the end of our panel, Great Taste, Zero Waste panel. I feel myself very fortunate today because I'm moderating a panel where I am learning a lot. I have learned a lot, well, our time limit is 1 hour, and we are already over it. But I guess we have a couple of sentences for each presenter to say for a final word. For a final word. I mean, as far as I see, if there are two themes that we could have gathered from all these presentations, discussions, those two themes are urgent act, how action is necessary and urgently necessary these days, and the second theme is how important the collaboration is, right? So my last question to all presenters, starting from Danny and Lise again, and Ayça and Umut, I'll go with the same order. What are the key action, fields of action and fields of collaboration that you see regarding the future of a more sustainable and fairer food world? Yes, Danny, let's start with you first. Ambassador, yeah.
Thank you very much. In real estate agents, they talk about location, location, location. I think when it comes to sustainability and food production, it's all about cooperation, cooperation, cooperation. I think that's very, very clear and has been made even more clear to me after the presentations today. We all know, and we have heard about it, the UN Sustainable Development Goals today. And it's an obligation for each country, but I would say it's even more an obligation for other countries also to assist those countries facing challenges when it comes to providing food and meeting the zero hunger goal. So basically, we need cooperation from farm to fork, the whole value chain. We need UN cooperation, we need European cooperation, and we also need cooperation on national level. I think that would be it from my side. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Ambassador. And please, yes, your last word sentences about action and cooperation.
Well, to support the ambassador, I would just say that I think that you should start with yourself. No matter if it's a professional or private matter, maybe we should shake hands today and say that for the next week, we will all measure how much food we actually lost or waste during our own household. Try to measure it, and that will give you a really good impression of the challenge that we're facing, and it will make a change for you, I promise you. So during the next week, try to measure your own household waste. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Lise. And yes, Ayça, your time now.
Measuring is actually a very good idea, but sharing it with friends via social media could be even better, so that you can just challenge each other about measuring. But if you are just as a household, you could do that. But if you're producing something, you could consult us, or you could look into your yield and think about ways how to increase that yield.
Thanks a lot. And now it's Umut's turn. Yes, Umut.
Well, I think I was mentioning that one. Liz also underlined, starting with yourself, Ayça contributed very well, especially on OK, but then make a bigger chain of it. And I just would like to underline that start now, because there is a sense of urgency here. And start now and be open-minded, because in majority cases, the killer of acting is, well, we did in all this way. So let's be open-minded. Let's start now with a sense of urgency, and let's don't forget that every bit counts. So, and then just it makes the bigger picture. So that would be my 3 cents, so to say.
Thanks a lot again, Umut. All right, I guess it's time to conclude our discussion titled Great Taste, Zero Waste discussion, which is part of Nordic Talks. And I hope this is going to be a discussion, a general contribution to the ongoing initiatives for better food futures, where we're going to all have, great taste and zero waste.